Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another very special episode of the uncensored, unfiltered, and unapologetically Black podcast show, Speak to the Mic. I am your illustrious host, Marlon Joseph. And ladies and gentlemen of this show, all your viewers, subscribership is much needed and appreciated. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all other podcast platforms you can find this podcast on. And you all know the drill. We are here to impart education on the Black community being provided to you by Black men and women of all professions and or organizations. And we're doing it in the most unapologetically Black way we know how. If you don't want to miss any episodes, previous and upcoming episodes from this podcast, is really speaking to the very experiences that we all share. We all know that information hits home a lot differently when it's coming from people who look like us. So you definitely don't want to miss out on this content and information that's being pumped out here. Joining me today is a very intriguing Black woman who I had the pleasure to actually meet in person at Anytime Fitness, which, by the way, she owns. She is the owner of Anytime Fitness, 2 locations, and the building in which one of those locations are actually located in. Sian Teague, she is actually here to talk with me about how she made the transition over from corporate America to becoming a business owner herself, and just how that transition has been, preferably within the last few years, during this pandemic and troublesome time that we've been living in. So, Ian, thank you so much for taking the opportunity to speak with me about this. You and I have had a few conversations, in passing, obviously getting a chance to meet you. And I just want to say this too, before we even go any further, how impactful it was for me and my wife both to meet you, knowing that the gym we go to is literally a mile away from our house. And the fact that it's owned by a Black woman makes us even more proud to even be members of that fitness gym. So thank you so much for, again, opening up that gym and being able to, talk with me about
it. Yeah, thank you, Marlon, for having me on this platform. And let's not leave out that it's in a predominantly white community. So to be thriving in that environment as a Black woman is, it's really mind-blowing. But thank you for having me. And the transition was, my husband and I always knew that we wanted to go into entrepreneurship. We know that corporate America is where you get your start, you build a nest and transition. Yeah. We just didn't know how and when and what we would go into. So health and wellness has always been at the forefront of my mind, because I grew up in a community and a family that's been plagued with a lot of cardiovascular diseases. So I know that health was going to be something that I always wanted to focus on. So I think oftentimes we settle for the counterfeit and miss out on a benefit in life. So because corporate America is comfortable and it's what's paying the bills and it's what's, providing that safety net of a steady income, oftentimes people stay there a lot longer than they need to. I would say I probably stayed a little longer than I should have. And I think it was stressing me out. I was in the legal field. So to avoid being put on blood pressure, I knew I needed to make a change. Yeah. And so it took a lot of conversation and seeking God. So I stood on the verse of Proverbs 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Absolutely. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. So I took a lot of seeking God just to give me knowledge into the path that I should take. And then a lot of communication with my husband. And, he rode the front end of this thing, like as far as talking to the previous owner of the actual franchises, dealing with the bank. Because, of course, it's hard enough being a Black person trying to negotiate and, $1 million deals and stuff like that, let alone a woman. So when I met the owner of the franchises, I quickly introduced him to my husband because, older white man definitely don't want to be negotiating with me.
Yeah, still living that time that we have to deal with.
Negotiating with my husband, but so I put them in contact. So my husband drove the forefront of everything, and then once that happened, I left corporate America and took over. But I say, if you're in corporate America and you have a desire to leave, it starts with creating that nest. So start saving, have a 401k, because they're going to look at the full package. So even if you're not going to be borrowing from that 401k, they're going to make sure that you're financially responsible.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't been financially responsible, start today, contributing to that 401k, building that nest, building that savings, having some kind of collateral like a house
Yeah.
or an investment property, because they're going to look at the total package. We didn't get approved with the first bank or the second bank, because this industry is new to us. They're looking like, hey, why you want to leave the safety net and come into a whole new industry to we don't trust you. We don't know how successful you're going to be. So we were not like approved immediately.
Yeah.
But I think we went the route of the SBA. So we got a loan through the SBA and then our savings and all that stuff. So we were able to transition. And one of the things I want to point out is we transitioned into entrepreneurship 4 months before the pandemic. So we purchased everything October 2019.
Oh man.
And February 2020 is when the pandemic started. March 13 was when I remember that date clearly, because I remember having to shut down.
Yep.
And I'm like, God, did I hear you correctly? Because we put everything into this. Like, if this fails, it's not going to look pretty financially for us.
Absolutely.
Like, we put everything's on the line. Like, even our life insurance, like, they're on it.
Wow. So you know what? I want to put things in proper context too, because you said something about obviously the transitions you made from corporate America to becoming an entrepreneur was very very. It was clear to you after a while that this is really what you want to do. But as far as proper context goes, so you were actually a lawyer before becoming a business owner. So I mean, and the fact that obviously we know you and I both know representation matters, right? So even in the business of law, because law is still a business, we're not fully represented enough. So you as a Black woman being a lawyer, I guess you saw this as a way to kind of just like build upon this and just transition from this, because this was becoming too stressful for you, having to deal with the legalities of your profession and even the politics in some cases too. I'm assuming, because as a Black woman, like you kind of lamented earlier about how it's been difficult for you to make certain moves being a Black woman just by representation alone, not off your merits, not off your credentials, but just off the fact that you've been a Black woman, having to still deal with a misogynistic, industry or misogynistic, world that we're still living in, where it's male dominant, and even in that profession is mostly male dominant. So, what was the deciding factor, if there was one, for you that really helped you kind of validate, okay, you know what, this is exactly what I want to do moving forward?
The deciding factor for me was corporate America was getting too. I'm a woman of God and faith.
Yeah.
And when you start seeing yourself operate outside of integrity, you have to take a step back and say, am I going to choose career over Christ?
Yeah.
It's almost like the choice our young people having to make, Christ or culture over Christ. So I said, no, I'm going to choose Christ over my career, because I know God will take care of me. And so the things that were going on there were just not for me, like the rat race, the politics. And so I just knew that that's not where I wanted to spend the rest of my life. I'm grateful for the platform. And the biggest compliment I got when I worked in an actual law firm was a partner said to me, you came in here, I thought you were this little timid, you weren't going to last but a week. But now I see you as a pit bull in a skirt. And that the only reason why I showed up quiet and timid is because I didn't know that platform. I had no one to teach me it. So I stayed quiet. Everything was new to me. Absolutely everything. I'm like first generation going to college, let alone being in this platform. So I'm like, I'm going to be quiet until I learn. I'm not going to make a fool of myself. I knew that much to do that. So yeah, so that was the deciding factor. Like, okay, this is, and then having my daughter, like not wanting my mom to raise my child. And my husband works very hard in corporate America. He's traveling for work. So both of us can't have the buck break. So
Okay, I think we just the internet connection
froze,
went
yeah.
out. Yeah. Okay, so obviously, kind of circling back. So one thing that you and I spoke about when we were at the gym is that from a family structure standpoint, this was a difficult situation for you too because you felt like you were working a lot of hours to where you were missing out on key things, in your daughter's upbringing. What was that like for you?
Um, so having your daughter trace your mom as her mom, like you don't want to be like as a new mom, you're leaving to go to work. You're missing out on the most important part of your child's day and life, and those first, missing out those on those first. Like, so I'm acquiring victories in corporate America and accumulating idols of, you know, material things and victories in the corporate world, but home where, if you prioritize where family is the first, God's first, then your family, and then maybe your career or whatever else you put it third. I realized that the pyramid was getting out of balance.
Yeah.
Your work had to come first because there were demands and you needed to meet deadlines and things like that. So it came down to, okay, I have to stick to the priority. What's first? And when things are coming out of balance, get them back in balance.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to miss out any more first. It's my first child, and so
And those are definitely key moments, and not only our lives, but our kids' lives too. When we're
yeah.
witnessing that metamorphosis happen within them within the first couple of years of their lives. Obviously,
Yes.
being a new parent, we're learning as well as they are learning too. So it's like, and I can agree with that. My having my daughter first, she taught me how to be a father first because it was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
these are the different things. There's no instruction manual that comes with this, right? So now I
Yeah.
have to learn as I'm going along, and it's just, a lot of that is just winging it. But you definitely don't want to miss out on those key moments in time, or at least not as much of it during the
Yes.
very intricate moments of their lives. And so, and the fact that you prioritize that and you saw that going that direction, you made a observation right then and there and said, you know what, I need to stop it here because this is obviously taking me away from that upbringing and that growth and
Mm-hmm.
development of my child, and I'm missing too much of that, especially given being a Black woman who gave birth to her, right? So that
Yes,
that
exactly.
that that's a key moment. That bonding, you can't replicate that, you can't redo that, and so you
Mm-hmm.
definitely want to make sure that you always prioritize. And I think we in society, especially in the Black community, in the last few years, we've gotten to a place where now we're understanding what's more important. We
Yes.
understand that we have to work and take care of,
Mm-hmm.
our monthly expenses and provide roofs over our heads, things like that. But we're not going to slave to a point where that's the only thing that's driving us, the only thing that's on our mind.
Mm-hmm.
We're being able to say, you know what, all right, work is work. Now I'm done with work for the day. Let me prioritize myself. Let me prioritize my family. Let's start to really dive into what needs to actually happen after work is done, right? Because work is going to be the 8 hours or how many hours you're working. But once that clock has been hit, now it's time to unwind and be able to devote more time to your family, to yourself, to your own health. And which leads me to my other point about you specifically going into this realm. So, there's a plethora of obviously entrepreneur opportunities to go into, and you kind of lamented to this earlier about how you prioritized your health and you wanted that to
Mhm.
be in the forefront of your mind as it pertains to going into this particular industry and becoming a business owner from that perspective. What has been, can you kind of expound on that in terms of why you felt, owning the gym was really the focal point moving forward and becoming an entrepreneur?
I think as a Black community, we are more reactive than proactive with our health,
Absolutely.
and it shows up in every aspect of our lives. We have the highest um, death rates due to cardiovascular diseases, maternal health, like just everything, you name it, we're at the top of the list of the bad. So I wanted, if not for anyone else, for at least for my family, for them to see how important it is, because leaving corporate America, not everybody, a lot of people confuse who you are with where you are in life,
Yeah.
and they figure, okay, if I'm a doctor, that's just what I am. If I'm a lawyer, that's what I am. If I am a corporate person, that's where I need to stay. I need to keep that statue.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so not who you are. Who you are truly is what makes you happy, what what makes you encourage others to do better. And
Yeah.
that was my goal, to wanna, when I was in corporate America, it was just all paperwork, So stepping out in entrepreneurship, it's more about helping others achieve a healthy lifestyle so they can live longer, so they can live in health, not in pain, in sickness on 10 pills. So my goal each day when I show up at the gym is to just encourage somebody to stay the course and not just pay for a membership and don't show up. That's not my motto. My motto is, we reach out to you. If we don't see you come in, we're going to reach out and say, hey, what's going on? And, my biggest accomplishment was having one of our members run back from his physical. He said, for years, I was on blood pressure medicine, cholesterol medicine, and I've been coming here for a year. And my doctor said, keep doing what you're doing. I don't have to take these pills anymore. And so that's what I wanted for my family and for my community, like for folks to just see that we are part of the health community too,
Yep.
and that we don't have to only sell clothes if we go into entrepreneurship or be here, or cosmetic stuff, but we can help each other also in that space.
Absolutely. The whole healing and health aspect
Mhm.
of it, which is a huge, is a paramount of importance in our community, especially because given the fact that we're disproportionately affected by every single thing that happens to us, and
Yes.
even from a health perspective, when the world gets a cold, Black people, we catch cancer, and
Uh-huh.
that's how disproportionate and how impactful it is on us. And because we're still the minorities in this country,
Yes.
we can't afford to keep losing so many of us to bad eating and just overall just not
Right.
taking care of ourselves and not listening to the doctor. So the fact, and I'm pretty curious to know how many of those testimonial moments have you had with people who have obviously become members of your gym, saying that fact that, okay, yeah, I was on these pills for X amount of time. I've been working out regularly. And then the fact is, you separate yourself from the other gyms that obviously have like a window of time where they're open and closed. This is 24 hours. So
Yes. Yep.
literally go there anytime, any day, and not have to worry about if you're going to get enough time in to do all the workout that you wanted to do. You pretty much you're in control and responsible for how much you work out and how much time you utilize in working out. And so, just from a testimonial standpoint, what has that been like for you to hear stories like that from
It's
people
been
who have been there?
amazing. It's been amazing, from a mom calling about her son being 300 and something pounds, and she's afraid of the path he's going down to him coming in, working with our trainer, and me seeing him in the gym and saying, "Hey, how do you feel?" He's like, "I haven't slept better in years. I feel so good." Like, and he was afraid to come to the gym. Like, his mom, this is an adult,
Yeah,
that his parents just felt like he was on the wrong path health wise. He needed to do something. While he's not at his goal, he's slimmed down a lot and he's sleeping better. He has more energy. So that was like music to my ears. Then, like just this week, I had somebody come in, a parent and a son. The mom wanted to cancel because her credit card had gotten fraud. So now she had to come in to pay off the balance. And she was like, I'm not coming. And just me sitting her down and talking to her. And she actually looked like me and hearing from me that, hey, when I started working out, I was 20 pounds heavier. I was about to be put on blood pressure medicine. And just from making these healthy choices, I'm not on blood pressure medicine. She sat there, she's like, you're right, you're right. And her son was like, yeah, like, why wouldn't you stick with it? You say you have all these pains and this and that. And I'm like, and at the end of that, she didn't cancel her membership and she set up a fitness consultation with our trainer. And just the fact that she's going to continue because talking to somebody that looked like her and could relate to the things that she's going through in her body, that's just win for me. Like just me
Absolutely.
sitting there and talking
Absolutely.
to people every day and putting a smile on their face and them coming over to me and say, hey, you work so hard. Thank you for all that you do here. Because I'm a hands-on owner. Like I'm in there, I'm running between the different locations, and yeah, so
Yeah.
that's it too.
Yeah.
So we do get a lot of those. People
Yeah.
just say, even if it's just a community. One lady say, this is the shares without the beer place for us, like for the community that we service.
Yeah.
So I really,
Also, I want to say this too for full disclosure. So, ladies and gentlemen, she not only owns the gym, but she's in there working out too. Ian
yes,
is there working out, making sure she prioritizes her own personal health as well as helping provide an avenue for people to prioritize theirs as well. So,
yes,
yeah, don't just think if you all ever come across her at one of these anytime fitness locations, she's in there not only working but working out too. So
yes. I get
she
my
is she is definitely getting her own personal workouts and stuff like that in. So that's inspiring too. The fact that you are seeing that, see that speaks to the very testimony that I speak about in the show about how information hits a lot differently when it's coming from people who look like them
yeah,
because we can relate. The object of relativity that sticks out like a sore thumb to me because no one can relate to you more than us who come from the same background or even similar
yes,
backgrounds for that matter. So the fact that this woman came in and had some trepidations about either continuing on coming to the gym because obviously she had some issues with her credit card, but then also not being encouraged and not being motivated to want to prioritize her health, even despite knowing that she was on, having these pains and things like that. But we see a lot of those testimonial stories coming out more with people saying, you know what, I didn't prioritize my health before, but since I've been in the gym actively and consistently, I've been seeing so much progress that I hardly even recognize myself now, and that's a good thing because it's like I have really put my all into this. Starting off with anything is going to always be the roughest part, but it's the continuation of it. It's the
mm-hmm.
consistency that we have to keep focusing in on because it takes 21 days to develop a habit, right? So, and habits become lifestyles, whether it's good or bad. We have to be the ones who are in control of what those lifestyles will ultimately look like for us. And
Yeah,
so, the fact that you're seeing more people who are doing that again, I can't specify enough how, even just giving kind of a backstory of how me and my wife came across the gym. So, again, we live in the same area, which is predominantly white, and then came across the gym and it's 24 hours. Like, you know what? The start of this year, we're going to go ahead and just cancel our membership at LA Fitness and Planet Fitness because obviously the hindrance about those gyms is that it's further down from us. And so that takes away some of the time we could be working out when this gym is literally the next block over from us. So we have no excuse and we've made no excuses about it. And my wife and I, we've been like just talking about our journeys and how we've been able to get fit. I know for my wife, she has definitely had her own goals to get to a certain place in a certain weight. Even before we had my son, who is soon to be 2 years old in July. So for her, she had her own personal goals. I had my personal goals as well. We've been consistently going, and
yeah,
it's been a tremendous thing to have such convenient location that's this near to us that we can just go to whenever we like. And then, if you're speaking of that, tonight I'm actually going to be in the gym. So the greatest thing about going to that gym on Saturday nights is generally it's nobody in there. So I can
yeah,
just get every single thing done that I want. But even during the week, certain times of the week that I'm able to go, it's not a lot of people in there. So I'm able to get my hour 15 minutes out and feel good about it. So we get to a place where we starting off as, okay, I gotta go to the gym, to transition over to I get to go to the gym. Now it
Mm-hmm.
becomes more of a privilege, more of a thing that we look forward to because it helps stimulates our body and it helps us focus too mentally. So it's a way to help our mental as well as our physical when we are working out. So again, for you, just so you have two locations, right? So
Yeah.
and obviously the other location is not too far away. Do you see yourself possibly opening up maybe even a third or fourth at this point? Like, what has it been like for you? Has it been so successful to where you're now contemplating, you know what, I can take this a little further now? Are you pushing yourself to look beyond the two locations you currently have?
Um, I don't want to make it sound like it's all easy and all
Oh, true. Yeah.
gravy because
Yeah.
everything that ends up miraculous in one season started out as a mess in the previous season.
Absolutely.
So we didn't talk to the fact that during COVID we had a lot of cancellations, but
Yeah.
God,
You know what?
like we
Let's
came
talk about
back.
that. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that
we
first.
came
We can
back. We
talk about
came
that. Yeah.
back and doubled the membership and we're doing really well. So, and especially during COVID time, gym is considered like a luxury thing in people's lives. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, with the economy that's going on. So I saw a lot of our counterparts throughout Georgia, and because Anytime Fitness is a global entity.
Yeah.
So I think since we took over, like we've seen like 8 locations close.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, throughout Georgia, and so we each day we get up, we're just grateful to God for keeping
Yeah.
us and sustaining us and blessing us supernaturally and superseding our goals that we
Yeah.
set out 3.5 years ago. So I wouldn't say no that it's not in the working, but I do have something else that I'm working on entrepreneurship wise with a
Yeah.
partner. So it doesn't stop here, like for
Absolutely.
me and for my husband. So we're always thinking about the next thing.
Yeah.
So the right opportunity comes by, we definitely would consider another location.
Okay. So yeah,
Yep.
I want to backtrack real quick because you just said something that I did want to touch on. So during this time, obviously the pandemic happening in March of 2020, shutdown happens, everything goes to hell
Yep.
practically in that
Pretty
time.
much.
So within the last 3 years that we are now we're on the tail end of it, but it's still ongoing. It's still kind of a ongoing thing. But for you, when you initially took on this, you said you obviously did this 4 months prior, and then the pandemic happened. So once the pandemic happened, what was your strategy like? What was that conversation like with you and your husband when it came down to strategizing how you guys are going to make this work throughout this pandemic?
The good thing is like communication, right? So
Yeah,
the good thing is my husband is still in corporate America. So we did have that safety net, but it's still not like safe where we still have to cover this building, we still have to cover these franchise fees, the gyms,
yeah,
and so it was very scary. The good thing was like if you're gonna step into entrepreneurship, have a plan, have a safety net because like stepping in, you're not gonna we I didn't take a salary for probably definitely 2 years, probably
oh
like
wow,
just 1.5 years, 2 years, didn't take a salary. So you have to have a plan while it's scary, it's all about pre-planning
yeah,
and not just jumping into it and faith. Like
yeah.
standing on your faith, standing on your truth, like God, I feel like you brought me here. So
The faith
whatever
without
this
works is
is,
dead. We know that.
exactly.
Absolutely. We got to do the
Yeah.
work. Got to do
Yep,
the work.
exactly. Exactly. What folks usually don't tell you is that the blessings usually or the glory usually carries weight. So you're never going to step into something and it's going to be successful. We had to grow it to where it is
Yep.
today. And I'm grateful for the times where we started out with me not having a salary with COVID and, still paying our people. We didn't let anybody go during the COVID season. We had great employees and it was just faith and having a plan and taking care of your people
Yeah.
and honoring God throughout it. And he blessed us. So it's really having a plan and a safety net and yeah, being smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, during that time, I know that, obviously other, gyms and like the LA Fitnesses and Planet Fitnesses started to shut down, and some of them maybe even closed locations or relocated to other, spaces that was less expensive. But but even still, after the pandemic happened, then here comes inflation, right? So now inflation's happened, everything has gone up, everything is, just price of eggs is $10. I can't even believe that. Don't even get me started with that. But the fact that now the expense piece has been much more expensive than it's ever been, right? So, and you've been seeing an increase in membership even despite the inflation. And what has that been like for you, even just within the past year? Now that it's
Uh,
closing in on the year, I guess.
I think I accredit it to God and to people realizing that health is so important. It's the
Yeah,
new wealth. If you don't have
absolutely.
health, you might as well not have any wealth because you can't spend it, you can't enjoy it.
Yep,
So I tell people pay now or pay the doctor later. So either you pay for your gym membership, pay
yep,
for a healthier eating. Yeah, it's cheaper to go to McDonald's, cheaper to go to Burger King, but and fresh fruit and vegetables cost more. But pay now or pay later. You
yep,
decide.
yep.
Pay now in health and happiness, or pay later in pain
And money.
and can't enjoy your money, right?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
for me, I think a lot of people realized during the pandemic. So that's where the pandemic became a blessing because they
Yeah,
realized that the people that were healthy, they were surviving this
yep,
chronic this disease, this COVID, and the
yep,
people that were unhealthy, they were the one that were being put on ventilator. Those were the one that weren't making it. So I think a lot of people started prioritizing their health and realizing, hey, I can't stay away from the gym much longer because it's going to affect me worse.
yeah,
I want to be in a safe environment, clean environment. And we did our very best. We had the sanitizing spray. We purchased a machine, so we were spraying it down every week. Our staff was like, when we reopened, was wiping down everything. We, just made ourselves indispensable to our members, whatever
yeah,
they wanted during that time, like just to make them feel comfortable coming back. And they did, and they saw that we were loyal to them, and so people referred people and they realized that we weren't just here. I'm not just here for a profit. I'm here to truly serve my community and be the best owner possible, like whatever is needed, how to support the folks. I'm not just there to collect their money monthly. And I tell them that I'm like, I really prefer for you to come to the gym. Most
yeah,
people get a gym membership. They pay monthly and they don't show up. We don't have that model. We reach out, we have a
yeah,
follow-up system, we offer a free session with our trainers, anything just to get you back in. So I
yeah.
think we've grown because of that.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that, again, that separates you from the other gyms that obviously are much more of a grander
Mhm.
conglomerate when it comes to how many, states and cities they expand out to, like the LA Fitnesses. They're so big that where they're able to just, gain more membership and not reach out. So they will have that direct personal contact with their, clients and with people who have obviously become members of their gym. So
Mhm.
the fact that you are growing because of that speaks volumes to how you're connecting with the community that you obviously are servicing. And so yeah, that should be awarded and appreciated great. And the fact that we're in a predominantly white community, it's not as many of us coming to the gym that look like us,
Mhm.
but the few that I do see on occasions, I'm always, greeting, and it's always a pleasure to see us prioritizing our health in that way, because I'm even seeing, older white people who are prioritizing their health as well, because I've seen several of those sessions with your trainers. They have like I can't remember the name of the actual
Silver
group.
sneakers class.
Silver
Silver
sneakers
sneakers.
class. Yes. So these are elderly people who are making sure that they live their best life for as long as they can by prioritizing their health. And we want to get to a place where we don't wait until we're that age to do that. And so obviously we're seeing more people now, probably more than ever, becoming members of different gyms, stuff like that. But the fact that this is a 24-hour gym, ladies and gentlemen, I can't speak highly enough of this Black woman in this business because it has done wonders for me and for my wife personally as well, because we've been able to consistently go without making any excuses, whether we go early in the morning or we take the kids to school or later at night, once they're, down and sleep and, in bed. But they're definitely on the weekends. We try to make sure that we each take our time to go. Like I'll go first, she'll go right after I come back home. So we have made it a priority for us to be more consistent than anything else because again, we got goals and we got some trips we're planning to really be able to display those goals once we get to that place. But
Good for
anyway,
you and
see
your
it.
wife.
Yeah, and I appreciate you so much for being so welcoming and being so approachable, right? Because you don't oftentimes see that when it comes to business owners. Some of them you probably ever see them at all. And the fact that
Mhm.
you're very much so active and involved in your business and such a people person that speaks volumes to how successful it has been for you and how it will continue to be. And I want to also put this out too, that it also brings me pleasure to know that you are a member of the Greek family as well.
Yes.
As being a
Yeah.
woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, I myself, as a man of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, that alone too, obviously, you really intrigued me about you being a Black woman and a business owner for this gym. And so I was like, you know what? Because my wife and I are huge advocates for supporting our own, supporting Black businesses at all costs. And obviously, given that the quality of their service is up to par, we definitely want to make sure we highlight that and spread the word. Tell everybody that we know, hey, listen, this is owned by a Black woman. You want to come support this because X, Y, and Z. So we're oftentimes advocating for that for free because we just believe in just supporting our own.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oftentimes as Black people, we look for the cheapest. And
Yep.
so, we don't compete with the Planet Fitness. We keep our price, our price. We're not the cheapest, but we're going to provide you that personalized service. And we really truly care about your health at Anytime Fitness.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for being an advocate for, the gyms and supporting our Black dollars.
Yeah, absolutely. And continue on doing the very phenomenal work that you're doing, being a tremendous entrepreneur and being an example to other Black women who are striving and even thinking about the possibility of doing the same thing, leaving corporate
Yes.
America to being able to, become a business owner of your own. And understanding too that it's gonna be some bumps along the road, and
Mm-hmm.
everything is not going to be a clean yellow brick road to get to that successful level
Mm-hmm.
of entrepreneurship. And so, you have to get knocked down and get back up. And so
Yes.
during those trials and tribulational times, you're going to be able to say to yourself, okay, I learned this based on the experiences that took place during this process. And it makes you a better person and even a better business owner. So
Yes.
if you being an inspiration to Black women, I commend you and give you your flowers merely off that fact. And I appreciate
Thank
the
you.
work that you're doing and the fact that you provided a Black-owned business in a predominantly white neighborhood brings joy to my life too, as well, because we're seeing us becoming more than what they have stereotyped us as, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is a living proof and testimony of
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Marlon, for having me.
that. Absolutely. So
Yes.
again, I'll probably see you in the gym probably sometime this week. Like I
Okay.
said, I'll be at the gym later tonight, getting it in, and hoping that nobody else is there, but me, so I can just do every single thing I want to do in the time span that I push myself to do. So thank you
Yes.
for taking the time out to speak with me about this, and I hope that this is an inspiration to other people who are looking to follow in those same footsteps or even footsteps are similar. So
And
again,
thank you, Marlon, for this platform to showcase Black talent and to our, the Black people that, hey, you can do this too.
yeah,
And health is your priority. So thank you for this platform. The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And that's exactly what you're doing right now, because you're teaching a wide array of community so they can too leave an inheritance for their children, like we've set out to do. So
absolutely. I am
thank you.
definitely about being the change that I want to see around us in our
Yes.
community. So, I appreciate you for even acknowledging that. And definitely thank you for your time. And we'll definitely be seeing each other, in passing as we obviously see each other at the gym. So I
Yes.
appreciate
All
it,
right.
guys.
You guys have a blessed weekend.
All right. If you like what you've heard from this week's episode and would like to hear more from previous episodes, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel below. You can also find me on social media platforms at Speak to the Mic _podcast show on Instagram and Speak to the Mic podcast show on Facebook. Be sure to also like, share, and subscribe to my Spotify page at Speak to the Mic podcast show. As I put out more thought-provoking content, your opinion and thoughts are needed and appreciated. I thank you all in advance for your support and look forward to hearing from you soon.